Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from gorgeous Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
that podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, we're going to be talking a little bit about Mormon Temple, what happens in it. It's been a while since we've discussed it. And
What Mormons believe.
Yeah.
We love to reveal to all of you heathens what the Mormons are
what
up
they're
to.
really doing in those temples.
Giving you the inside
What
scoop.
they really do will surprise you. So stick around for that.
Yeah, news at 11. Are the Mormons in your house killing you secretly? Tune in at 11 to find out. But before then...
Oh, well, yeah, we have some stories to go over.
Good.
Stuff that happened probably fairly recently.
Okay.
This is a good one, Dan.
Uh-oh.
A bunch of Muslims are up in arms currently about some new shoes from Nike.
Uh-oh.
They're pissed off, and they've started a campaign to recall these offensive sneakers.
They're made of pork.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. They the logo on them, which spells out Air Max,
Okay.
looks like Allah's name in Arabic.
Oh!
And it's on the sole of the shoe.
So you're stepping on Allah.
Stepping on Allah.
Or Air Max. Wait a minute.
Or Air Max. And so here's the deal. If you turn it upside down
Yeah.
and leave off the A and the X,
Okay.
what's left
Is
kind of looks like
Irma.
Allah, right? Because that's sort of the styling right there. And right above it, that scrawl, that's Allah spelled out. And so you can see it. You can see it, right? You can see what they're talking about. It doesn't take much imagination to see it. That's,
Yeah, sure.
I don't read Arabic, so I just have to trust them that it has that sense of it, right? But completely unintentional on Nike's part.
You say that. You don't know.
Oh, I do not know. Well, here's the deal. Nike has been in hot water for this exact same thing before.
What?
So, and they've apologized, and they've tried to introduce.
They did it again?
Procedures to make sure that their logos and the fonts that they use, that when they spell stuff out, it doesn't look like things.
Right, yeah.
Other things.
Yeah, you got to be pretty careful
things,
about that.
Right?
But I mean, that font doesn't, it's like you have to sort of bend and shape it to make it look like that. Like it's
a very rounded out.
What they've done is angular and stuff, and what the Arabic is like.
Oh, scrawly
is curvy,
calligraphic.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so it's not like I'm gonna. Yeah, they didn't mean to do this.
Here's the one that got them in hot water, though, back in the 90s. Back in 1997, says air on the back. Now look at that.
That looks like Arabic writing.
How did they miss that one?
It doesn't even look like the word air to me.
It is harder to see the word air. And if you hold that up next to Allah spelled out, you can see it, right?
Yeah.
This one, yeah, you can. It's kind of there. You can kind of see it, but it's also it's in the middle of other stuff.
That
right?
other one, I can't even see the word air. Like the one from the 90s is somebody was just putting the word Allah onto shoes.
I honestly think somebody was up to something with that one, but except for the fact that they clearly wanted the air to look like fire.
Yes.
Right? They were trying to make the three letters look like flames.
Which, by the way, is wrong because those are two totally different
elements.
Yeah. So
what about wood and water? Where do they enter the discussion, right?
Yeah.
Aren't those both?
No, earth.
Earth?
Yeah, not wood. No.
Like it's correct. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
I'm wrong about something that's wrong.
Yes,
so
you are.
I apologize, everyone.
Your pagan card has been revoked.
Anyway, so that's happening right now, Dan. This is we don't have a resolution yet.
Oh.
Nike has come out and said that they respect. Where was it? A Nike spokesperson said, Nike respects all religions, and we take concerns of this nature seriously. The Air Max logo was designed to be a stylized representation of Nike's Air Max trademark. It is intended to reflect the Air Max brand only.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever else it might look like.
Right.
They didn't intend it.
We should be looking out for other things that logos might look like.
Right. But here is somebody who's pissed off about this. They say, we also request stricter scrutiny of products before they enter the market. I urge all Muslims and everyone who respects the freedom of religion to sign this petition. Your freedom of religion is to not buy the shoes.
Yeah, you got this backwards. If you want freedom of religion, then you're supporting Nike's ability to put whatever the fuck they want on their shoes.
Exactly.
If they want to step on your fucking God,
right.
If they want to put an image of Muhammad onto the shoes,
that's their prerogative.
Then that's freedom of religion.
Yeah.
And then you can be mad about it and piss and moan, and you can not buy the shoes.
And that's your freedom of religion.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It's not it's not freedom when you're like, everybody has to not do things that offend me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the opposite of freedom.
I love it.
All right. Well, I am going to talk about a South Carolina organization called what is it called? It's called something Miracle Hill. Miracle Hill Ministries.
Ooh, damn.
They run a foster agency for helping children get into foster homes.
What a noble thing to do.
Yes, and they're doing it the most noble way they can, which is
good.
They have asked the Trump administration to allow them. They asked a while ago to allow them to only foster kids into good Christian households.
Oh, wow.
Which the Obama administration had expressly forbidden. They actually had forbidden it right at the end of the Obama administration. It should have been something that's long since, but they get federal funding,
right?
And the Obama administration very rightly implemented a policy that said no organization that gets federal funding can discriminate based on religion.
Right.
Seems like a smart thing,
Right.
It seems like how...
But that sounds like discrimination against religion, Dan.
Nope. That's again the opposite.
I don't know.
We're getting it wrong again. We're back in the weeds there. So the Trump administration has finally ruled that yes, of course you can, and probably more as a the way Hemant Mehta pointed it out, or on that website, on that Friendly Atheist website, the way they talked about it was that it's probably more about sticking it to Obama than it is about the actual thing. But apparently, so that's the new policy. Go ahead and discriminate as pleases you.
Well, good.
Because Lord knows it's not. There must be
use our federal money.
Well, and there must be foster parents just pouring out of the walls because it's not like they need all the help they can get.
Oh God, but they're just thinking about the children, Dan. Mm-hmm. Children being placed in non-Christian homes. Oh my God, just. What will those poor children do? How will they ever learn right from wrong?
Right?
Dad.
They might. Somebody might teach them things. They might learn about like evolution and sex and stuff.
No,
that'd be the worst.
Oh God, damn. Or worse, a gay couple.
Ah!
Oh no!
Ah!
Two loving people who want to care for a child.
Yeah, gross.
Oh God, damn. Well, this actually leads right into my next story.
Okay.
New York State, Dan.
Okay.
Just recently passed a law that they're calling the Gender Expression Non-Discrimination Act, or GENDA.
Okay.
Isn't that cute?
Gender Expression Non-Discrimination. Okay, good.
They actually did okay with that.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem too forced, but they got agenda out of it. So.
Yeah.
So well done.
Which is great for New York because half of them, that's how they pronounce the word gender.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they also passed a ban on conversion therapy practices.
Good.
On minors.
Yes.
Specifically.
If you want to subject yourself to torture that doesn't work as an adult, go ahead.
Great.
Have some fun. But you can't.
I object to it then too. But yeah, you're right. At least they're protecting the kids.
Right. Yeah,
At least
exactly.
that.
You can still tell your kid what a piece of shit he is for being gay, but you can't put him into that awful therapy.
So what Genda does is it adds gender identity and expression as protected class in the state's human rights and hate crimes laws.
Good.
They had already passed some hate crimes. Obviously, they had some hate crimes laws. There was, but they were very limited in scope. The Sexual Orientation Non-Discrimination Act, which was the current law, only protected people on the basis of sexual orientation. So they've expanded that now. So this covers trans people
and non-binary people,
non-binary,
whatever.
and just the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right? The LGBTQ is covered.
You can't not hire someone, or you can't fire someone, or not give them housing just because you don't get what their gender is.
Yeah, exactly. And then let's see, New York also, along with this ban on conversion therapy, this is just a huge step forward, and it is awesome. And I wanted to bring it up, just because of what it means.
Yeah,
and
it's great
news. When so many parts of the country are kind of backsliding.
Oh yes, working very hard on that backslide.
Yeah, it's not even so much of a back; it's more of a back push.
Yeah, it's not sliding; it's driving.
Back drag.
The country's been thrown into reverse, and they hit the gas.
Oh, God, I know. Anyway, it's just absolutely fucking awesome that New York has done this.
Yes.
And so hats off to Governor Cuomo and the legislature and everyone involved. And, awesome.
Yeah, but meanwhile, this country still has other places in it.
Is this the Whiplash episode?
It is. We're just going to keep going back and forth. Down in Louisiana, the Bossier Parish School Board is a school board that had they were having all kinds of fun flouting our Constitution. They had all these egregious things.
What?
Well, so apparently football players were being football's the games were having a prayer piped out before every game.
Holy crap!
Teachers were leading prayers in the schools.
Oh wow! Which sounds like my high school,
right? Well, there you go. School events were being held at churches.
Yeah.
Choir performances, which this is everywhere, were primarily Christian worship music.
Okay.
Creationism was promoted in the classroom. All of this stuff.
Yep. Okay. Sounds about right.
So it got a whole bunch of people all up in arms, including the what are they called? The national... No, what is it? God damn it. Can we cut? Can we just do a little edit here?
Yeah, of course.
What is it? So a whole bunch of organizations got involved, but mainly the Americans United for Separation of Church and State.
Oh, that sounds like an awesome organization.
Yes, indeed. And they sued... And a settlement has been reached. And this settlement, which is being hailed by both sides as a victory. They both won.
Oh, that's great. It's a win-win.
Right, exactly. Which is funny because what their side won, and they're touting, is that all the sort of rights that already existed under our Constitution still apply to them. So students... maintain the right to pray at school at certain...
As long as it's not led by staff.
Right.
Okay.
They are allowed to speak about religion at school events if they want to. Students
have freedom of speech.
Right.
Cool.
The school does not. So the school employees who bow their heads during a prayer will not be penalized. Teachers can
that'll help that person with the lazy neck. Just
right.
prevent,
Yes. Exactly.
Whoa.
Teachers can talk about religion in an objective manner. Like all of this stuff already applied,
right?
But that's their spin.
Oh, boy.
Here's what really is going on. The school board will now create a monitoring committee that will review and resolve all potential violations.
Oh, okay.
They will create expand, or seek out appropriate facilities to minimize the need to hold school events in houses of worship. They are committing to protecting the rights of the students to pray in school as long as the prayers are initiated by the students and aren't disruptive and don't occur during class time.
Right.
Which that's how it's supposed to be. That's fine. And the teachers can teach about religion in an objective manner, but not proselytize to students. So that's good news.
Yeah.
I mean, I basically what we've learned is that the school board clearly went to their attorneys and were like, "Hey, we want to fight this," and the attorneys were like, "Do you want to lose? Because that's what'll happen.
Waste money.
So how about this? Let's settle.
Yeah, let's negotiate.
And you have to stop doing all of these things." These are all things that they are correct about, and you just have to stop doing them.
Right.
So let's figure out how we can come out of this without getting too black of an eye.
So they acted like it was a negotiation. That's what they did. Because, how much of it a negotiation is it to just say, well, you're going to follow the law?
To just fully capitulate.
Right.
Exactly. So basically the negotiation is, we'll settle. They probably had to pay for some of the court costs or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, though, is like Trump running the school district? Because it sounds like their negotiation skills are right in line with his. Yeah. So anyway,
there you go. So that was a nice little victory.
Federal shutdown joke, everyone.
Gotcha. We're with you, Frank. Trump failed.
Trump failed.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. All right. Here we go, Dan. Brace yourself.
Okay, I'm holding on.
This is another story of a Christian missionary from the United States.
Can we just call them Christianaries?
Is a Christianary from Maine.
Okay.
Who went down to Brazil to convert some indigenous folk who have requested to never be contacted by anyone from the outside ever. It has been, and Brazil has a very strong policy, or has had, because this is potentially going to change with their new president.
Oh, their new president is a peach.
He's a total peach. But up until this point in time, there are strong protections for these indigenous groups. Well, anyway, so this smacks of this whole like John Allen Chow thing that we talked about.
Yeah.
Except this guy actually walked away alive.
Well, that's nice for him.
Except for the fact that now he's very likely going to be tried for genocide.
For genocide?
Genocide.
Well,
is what they were ruling
that
out.
sounds extreme. But when you think about the fact that what they're trying to do is protect these uncontacted people from
outside
the diseases,
pathogens,
right?
As much as like the effect that it would have on their culture, right, to have contact with somebody like this who wants to introduce all these horrible Christian ideas, into their society. Aside from that, they could all die.
They could all, and these are usually very small tribes.
Yeah,
that could literally all die.
Yeah.
You could just you introduce,
or you're the one person who had a natural immunity to the thing,
right?
And so you're the last person of your tribe. I mean, that's how horrible, how absolutely horrible. So anyway, let's see, what were the important details with this one?
So he just wandered into the jungle looking for these people?
So he was actually working with a nearby tribe that was sort of open to him being there. He left that space and got a little lost and found these other folk. And then decided, well, might as well.
Oh my God.
Right? If the good Lord has presented me with an indigenous tribe of good.
We need to send missionaries out that just say, that go after other missionaries have gone and just be like, not everybody believes this shit. This is bullshit, right?
They're crazy.
Don't believe them.
We don't have a message for you except for the fact that
right.
We don't all believe this.
Yeah, look,
so if you think you're getting on board with like what the outsiders believe,
trust me, these guys don't know anything more than you know.
Yeah, yours keep doing what you're doing. It's been working for you for this long.
Whatever you're doing, that's probably bullshit too. But their shit's bullshit. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's really about it.
Yeah.
This is don't do it.
Don't. Oh God, these missionaries.
Ugh.
I mean, it's worked so well throughout the ages. You know what I mean? Like, there's never been a time when Christians going into a non-Christian world has worked out badly for anybody, right? That's always worked out well, hasn't it?
Well, it works out for them, right? Because here's the deal. Either they have their great success with this tribe, right? And so they get all their little feel-goods about that. Because they converted all these people.
We won these savages over to Jesus.
Yeah. Woo, wow, look at me, right? Or they get killed and they're a martyr.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Great.
Right?
Yeah. You can't lose.
You can't. Game. You literally can't. I mean, you are dead.
Yeah.
In one scenario.
I mean, but
as far as like,
at least as far as they're concerned, they're dead and in a better place.
They died righteously,
and they're
doing the Lord's work. That's like a straight one-way ticket to heaven.
Yeah, Jesus himself will give you a hand job for that one.
First class seating.
Yeah,
the whole thing. Right.
All right. I'm going to take us. I thought I found two stories that I wanted to sort of intersect.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm excited. Dan.
I'm going to start by you love numbers, so I'm going to start by the fact that in 2018 there were, according to two different roundups of this sort of thing, reports is what I'm looking for. There were 50 deaths in these United States due to extremist killers.
People killing for like a
cause? Some sort of extremist ideology.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Of those, how many do you think were Islam related? And I'm going to tell you that it's not. The answer is neither 0 nor 50.
I would say, though, it's probably a very small number, I think would be sort of why this is being brought up. I don't know, like 2 or 3?
One.
Oh, yeah.
There was one.
Wow.
The vast majority were white supremacists.
Of course it was.
Yeah. That includes, of course, that synagogue in Pittsburgh or whatever.
Yeah, so incredibly not surprised.
Right, exactly. That's at 78% of them. 16% were anti-government extremists.
16, you said?
16%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so 8.
Yeah. I don't know. Yes, correct. 8.
Okay.
And then 2 of them, 4% were incel extremists.
Oh, those motherfuckers. Really?
They don't fuck any mothers. That's their whole point. Anywho.
That's the worst joke.
It's your word. Anyway, yeah, so it turns out that Islamic extremism is really on the decline in the United States. And probably, it does seem that like worldwide it's going down. However, fear of it is not going down.
Is it on the rise? Ticking on up?
I mean, it's definitely, it's what Trump is using to try and drum up enough fear to get the wall done or whatever.
Yeah.
It's all those Mexican Islamists that are streaming over our borders.
I know.
Which doesn't make a lot of sense. But I did want to point out that this is related in my mind to an incident that was foiled, an incident that was meant to be and never came to pass, thank goodness. And this was a bunch of teenagers, a group of at least 3 teenagers in Greece, New York, who had decided to stockpile a bunch of weaponry. They built bombs out of like black powder and like nails and stuff inside mason jars and stuff.
Okay.
They were genuinely planning to attack a small community that I did not know exists in upstate New York called Islamburg.
Is it really a town of Muslims?
It is. It is.
No way.
It is a town of black Muslims who just sort of about 200 of them. Apparently, this community has existed for 40 years.
No way.
It's a 70-acre
community,
gated homesteading community.
Interesting.
Sort of tucked into the Catskills.
Is there like a cute little town center, or is it just like
I don't know.
farms?
It's gated, and so
then like a mosque.
Who knows? I have no idea. But
they were wanting to attack it.
But these guys had heard about it. These apparently young fellas. You won't be surprised to learn. 20-year-old, a 19-year-old, and an 18-year-old were all arrested.
Wow.
Along with a 16-year-old who was sort of who gave away their plot by
Instagramming about it.
Well, he went to some of his fellow students at his high school and showed them a picture and was like, "Does this look like the next school shooter?"
Oh God!
And then they reported him, and
God.
this plot was uncovered. But yeah, if I were, here in these United States, I think I would be far more worried to be a victim. I think people, Muslims in the United States, should be far more worried about being victims than we should worry about them being perpetrators.
Perpetrators, yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
them's the facts. Just throwing them out there so that everybody kind of knows. Yes, the correct thing to fear is angry young white men.
But why does Islam still scare me?
They keep covering up their heads. I don't know. What are they hiding under there?
I don't know. They painted up and fixed up that mosque over on 7th East, and I'm just terrified more now than ever.
I find it so funny. Islam scares me. It does scare me. Because Islamic extremism is a real world problem.
Thing, and it's horrible.
And also, horrifying. You know what else scares me? Christian extremism.
Absolutely.
Probably more so.
Yeah.
At least in this country, I'm much more afraid of Christian extremists than I am of Islamic.
Except you're not going to be the target, most likely.
Most likely, unless they hear about the show.
Ooh.
And then,
okay.
And then I'm suddenly very much a target.
Yeah. So for everybody, Dan lives up, high up in the avenues.
I live in a cave. In one of the canyons, so you'll never find it. It's a bunker somewhere.
Yeah,
exactly.
He doesn't even live in Utah.
No. We say we're in Salt Lake City, but it's a lie.
Oh, it's remote.
We do it via remote from a bunker.
The tape recorder is in Salt Lake.
Yes, but all of this is we're right now in a bunker deep below Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah, so don't even come looking, guys.
Anyway, if you guys have any comments or any questions, anything you'd like to challenge us with, if your extremism is of a different ilk than we've talked about, you can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
That's right. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click on that like button.
And while there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It's a closed group, but we will let you in, and that's the closeness is what makes it awesome.
Yeah. Go to the Reddit page, too.
You can, if you want. Dan.
Old MacDonald had a god.
Yeah, this guy, it is Old MacDonald. Christopher MacDonald is his name. Not to be confused with a working actor in Hollywood who you will recognize if you see him.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you know his name, it's not that guy.
It's not that guy.
Not that guy.
It's not Shooter McGavin.
Is that one of his characters?
Yeah. In
okay.
Happy Gilmore.
Oh, right. Okay. Anyway, this is internet preacher Christopher MacDonald.
He's a good friend of the firefighting prophet.
Oh, so most of the clips of the firefighting prophet that we play, he is on screen at the same time. He's on his own little, camera box thing, right?
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there nodding. Right. Just listening to
This guy also appears on some other.
This is the first time we're debuting him for his solo work.
Right. Boy, he's done some good work for us on this one.
It's very emotional.
We are not going to play all of the crazy that we found from this, but we'll play you. You'll get plenty.
Oh yeah,
you'll get plenty.
So just there's nothing we can say about it except that this is just the ramblings of a madman. So here we go.
Folks, look around our nation. This nation's in trouble. It's in spiritual trouble. When you have a governor in New York sign a bill into law killing babies up to the 9th month, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. We're in trouble. When you have a sitting congresswoman in Congress that blasphemes God when she does it, when she tells the world that it's okay if these ISIS 3 individuals that just got arrested in Michigan this week and they're ISIS sympathizers, and she comes out and she says, well, we need to have sympathy for these men. We need to have mercy for these men because they're misunderstood. It's blasphemy. It's blasphemy. It's blasphemy. It's rebuke. Everything godly, everything conservative, everything that's right with God, everything that is lined up with the Word of God, everything that is lined up with the Scriptures is rebuked today, and it's blasphemed by the left. It's blasphemed by God haters. It's blasphemed by those that don't know God. And yes, they need our prayers, but I'm telling you something, folks. Their argument, I want you to hear me this morning, their argument is not with me and you. Their argument is against God. Their argument is against God, just like Rabshakeh and Sennacherib did not realize they were not taunting Hezekiah when they were taunting Hezekiah. They were taunting God. God was hearing their taunts. God was hearing their rebuke. God was hearing their blasphemy.
Blasphemy!
And taunts. He's taunting him.
Just like Black and Fire and Scrabble.
They're being taunted.
They weren't taunting Hezekiah.
It's blasphemy, Dan.
Blasphemy.
This guy is amazing.
Yeah.
I love him. I'm going to subscribe to his channel.
You should.
Because he won me over with that one.
Well, we didn't play the part earlier in the clip where he's crying.
Oh, and it's so good.
Oh, it's such fake crying, too, you guys. You'll have to forgive me for feeling these emotions. I'm getting so emotional. It's just I'm worried for the country, and I'm worried for the God and the people and the Jell-O pudding. I went a little bit Cosby on that.
Well, and he also has like a crying hiccup in the middle there. Somewhere, where he's like,
that guy. Oh,
so good.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are ding dongs in the world. That's all I want to say. There are men and women who believe stupid things, and then they feel like they really have to tell you about it.
Do you think clips of us have ever been played on
other
Listen
shows?
to these assholes.
I feel like somebody would tell us about it.
I know.
I don't know.
Ugh.
We're not that cool.
We're
not hip enough for that.
They need to do like a left watch.
Well, we don't rant and rave the way we need to.
We wouldn't be very fun.
We're not
be a fun clip.
enough.
Yeah.
We should give them something to post. Oh, the Christians are all shitheads, and we just don't.
We don't do that.
We're not good at it.
Yeah,
we could work ourselves up. Maybe we will. We'll see. We'll see. Hey, we had some folks write into us, call into us. I'm going to read something from Bart, who says, "Hey guys, Just wanted to say that the term mixed orientation marriage, you and I talked about that, Frank. We talked about,
Yeah.
The feller who was in a...
I remember I said something about it. I was kind of pissed off and ranting.
Yeah.
You have a problem with what I said?
Well, okay. So he says the mixed orientation marriage doesn't necessarily mean someone who is trying to make such a thing work. It's also a convenient way to describe the situation some of us find ourselves in after so many years of confusion, deception, and denial caused by bullshit. But don't assume it always means a gay-straight union either. Bi people can get married sometimes. Bi people get married sometimes to straight people or to gay people. That's Dan adding that. Sometimes people only realize that they are bi after getting married and continue on in marriage successfully. Some people who realize they are gay after marriage have an open-minded spouse and end up in open marriages. Some, like me, choose to end the marriage. You also implied that sex is a necessary component of a successful marriage, but plenty of people of all orientations end up in sexless marriages or marriages in which sex is rare due to choice or health reasons. It is not fair to invalidate their marriage for that reason, and I actually agree with that.
Yeah,
that's very true. Okay. And sex is a part of marriage, but not a necessary. It is a sufficient but not necessary component. That's not how to word that either. Anyway,
well, marriage is just a legal contract,
among other things.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Frankly, do you? You know what I mean? It's like, fuck it. Do marriage however you're going to do marriage. Enjoy your life.
We were probably throwing it around in some sort of like. Anyway.
Well, what we were talking about is that, like, as a component to most good marriages, you want at least sexual attraction to your mate.
Yes. Well, yes.
But that may not be how you've crafted your marriage, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
If you're happy. Bart goes on. I'll just read a little bit more. I run a group that provides support for men who find themselves in these mixed situations, and we see all of the above and more. Just like with anything else, there's a wide variety of pathways. You guys are usually super open-minded and accepting, so I hope you will understand the spirit in which I write. I understand your statements were in context of that guy who would not apologize for his past gay conversion promotion, and I felt the same way about him as you did. Just don't let the dipshits cloud your usual non-judginess. Well, I think that's a good call to account, and I agree. I think, yeah. Do you?
Sure, unless you're that guy.
Unless you're that guy. I mean, don't...
his doing him was hurting people.
Right. Well, and now he's finding a whole new way to do him, and hopefully he...
far has not found, it's his way to.
I haven't checked the most recent thing. He seems to be evolving. We'll see how that works out.
It's fine.
Anyway.
Okay. Well,
do we have a voicemail?
I do have a voicemail, Dan.
Okay, let's hear that.
Let's pull that right up. This caller has a question for us about our discussion about art and sort of some of the limits and whatnot.
Okay.
And our stance of being just like, fuck, it's art, just do whatever you want. So she has a question about that.
Okay.
Hey, Frank and Dan, it's Ashley from Oregon. I just finished your most recent episode about what is acceptable in art, and I am almost right there with you, but I had a question concerning, like, underage pornography. Like, we would consider that a separate category, I would hope, not something artistic. I'm also wondering about works of art like the book Lolita. Anyway, so I hope you guys take care. Thanks for playing this. Great show.
Well, thank you, Ashley.
Yeah,
that's a great question.
It's a tricky. She's edging us towards a thing that's a lot more difficult to handle. But what we should say first off is that obviously child pornography is never okay.
Yeah,
ever.
Boop.
Just
done. Let's
draw that line right there in the sand. Never okay. It gets trickier because I don't think that all nakedness is pornography.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And I do think that, I've seen some lovely, like, artists' depiction, like photographic depictions or paintings of naked children, sort of presenting humanity in the nude. And nude does not equal sexual. Nude does not equal pornographic.
Absolutely not. And I agree with you. I will say that just personally, my position that I would just want to make it really clear that we acknowledge how dicey that can be, though, as a subject.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
That we may have a lot of listeners who don't agree with us.
It's tricky,
or agree with you on that one.
It's very tricky
because I'm a little bit more hesitant on that. I know that you're right. I know that there are examples of it. I think, though, that it is just a really almost dangerous place to be as that artist.
And here's what I can say. We're in the arts. I'm a theater artist, and I can say that categorically, if you're going to be representing anything on the stage that children shouldn't be doing, I think it's and this is a little part. This goes along with the Lolita thing that you mentioned too. I think it's okay for artists to render horrible things, like Lolita is a book that has child sex and
an adult who has
sex with a child.
Yes.
And that's not okay, but rendering it in art, in a novel is okay.
Right.
It's okay to depict that. But for instance, if you're doing a theater piece that involves something like that, you don't hire a child actor to do it.
Right.
You hire an adult actor to portray a child involved in that sort of thing.
Right.
It's tricky, but there are ways that artists can explore these concepts as an artistic exploration without actually venturing into what's horrific, the actual horror thing itself. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And as far as like Lolita, I mean, I have not read the novel, but I have seen the Stanley Kubrick film, and so obviously I don't have a full complete perspective on the book.
Sure.
But if I and it's been years since I've seen it, but my memory of it is the main character, I believe his name was Humphrey, or
I don't remember.
It sounds right to me.
Okay.
He's not exactly let off the hook for his actions, that there are consequences to his actions. And I think that is also important in a lot of these things, and in considering what happened in the story, right? Because if it was just a full-on promotion of, or if it was just a story that promoted having sex with kids, I don't know where the artistic value would be in something that just promoted it.
But right? I don't think art promotes. Art isn't about promotion. Art is about representation and is about sort of and commentary.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that film in particular promotes ideas, or at least it can very, very easily. And so maybe that's my sense of other media as well.
This is not a podcast that's about art. And it's a very tricky thing to talk about. But, and we're just exploring here. Like, this is not, we're not presenting the TGIA, editorial position on this. We're just, we're exploring our own feelings about this stuff sort of in real time.
Yeah. Live on tape.
Live on tape. As if tape is ever used anymore. But hey. Yeah, I mean, but I do think that there is a difference between writing about a thing and the thing.
Absolutely.
And there's and so yeah. Hopefully, does that answer your question, Ashley? I don't know. Anyway, do we have some patrons to thank?
Yes, we do.
That's about as good as we're going to get. So let's move on to our patrons.
All right, we have a new venerable listener by the name of Kara.
Hurrah!
Thank you, Kara. And we have an addition to. We now have 2 Lords and Saviors.
What? It's a tie for Jesus.
We're adding D
Oh my goodness.
to the biumvirate
Oh,
of Scott and D.
it's a holy duality.
D and Scott.
Yeah, what's the two version of a trinity?
I don't know. Abinity.
Abinity. We've got abinity.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. And if you would like to join them, you can do so by going to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, clicking on the support tab. That'll take you over to Patreon. It also gives you an option to go over to PayPal as well if that's something that works out a little bit better for you. And we so much appreciate the help, and it makes it possible for us to keep doing the show. And we thank you guys so much for your support.
Thanks, guys.
Dan.
You startled me there. Yes. Hello.
I love to see the temple.
Okay. Oh wow.
I was gonna go into the.
You were getting heavy metal, or as heavy metal as Frank gets.
Oh, I'm so heavy
You're
with my metal.
you're all rock and roll over there. Okay, listen, folks, kids, friends,
Oh boy, Mormons.
the Mormons. You Frank and I used to be them, and I know most of y'all weren't.
Right. Or Mormons, as half the people who comment on the blog.
Yes. Defending
Mormons.
including members of that faith who still don't know how their own thing is spelled. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It is shrouded in mystery. And one of the great mysteries, it is not a secret, it is sacred.
As they love to say.
Is what goes on inside those temples of theirs.
Oh, yeah.
The new one in Rome just opened up, finally.
I know. Very exciting. Long time coming.
Yes, indeed.
And they broke a lot of their own rules getting that one built.
Yes, they did.
Such
But it's
as
there.
There are no members
Yeah.
to go to it.
Yeah. There's a few.
There's a handful.
There's a few.
But they built them a big, fancy, nice one because
Sure.
they live in Rome.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. We've talked a little bit on the show long ago about the temple ceremonies and what happens there.
Yeah.
This is where you become a full-fledged handshake knowing Mormon.
Yeah. Literally. Handshake knowing.
They have secret handshakes.
Yes.
Not to be Mormons, but to get you into heaven, you have to know the handshakes, and that's where you'll learn them.
You'll never use them again outside of the temple.
Not in this life, but in the next.
Just in the next. Jesus will not let you into heaven if you don't know, if you can't reach through the veil and
creepily
creep you out.
pinch each other, interlock your pinkies and little things.
Oh, I showed somebody that the other day, and it's every single time you show someone the one particular handshake where it's like your fingers on their wrist and
On their
everything,
wrist, yeah.
shudders. Just, oh God, that's gross.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, they just changed. I think we talked about it on the show, but they just changed their temple ceremony. Rolled out some big changes for the ladies.
Oh yeah, ladies.
Ladies.
You're now a little bit more,
A bit.
how shall we say,
A bit less.
less of an object.
Yeah, a bit. You're almost a fully fledged human being who's enfranchised
In God's eyes,
Yeah.
everyone. He now will let you make covenants with him directly, not just through your husband.
Yeah, they used to be. Okay, so here's what happens. You go in, you're a grown person, you're going to go through the temple now.
Yeah.
And do what they call taking out your endowments.
Ooh.
Which is just a weird way of wording it. It's
is.
so normal in Mormonism, and then you get out of it and you sort of get some distance and you're like, it doesn't sound very good.
He took out his endowment. Sounds like,
Sounds
flashed
like-
the world.
Whipped out his wiener. Won't see how I'm endowed. Let me just take out my endowments.
Gross.
But what it actually means is that you are sort of semi-tortured through what is now apparently a shorter
torture.
Still interminable ceremony.
Oh.
What is now a shorter but still interminable ceremony.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently.
I'm sure it's just... I mean, to be honest, like... So, 2 long, tedious movies that I can think of that I know the running times for. Ben-Hur...
Okay.
I believe runs at about 3.5 hours, right? Fiddler on the Roof comes in at 3 hours.
Sure.
I don't care if you shave that half hour off. It's still a really fucking long movie.
Very, very long.
So, like, okay, wow. A half hour less.
Yeah, at least those have...
horrible. Like,
at least those movies have,
experience.
like, stories and stuff.
Well, no. The Temple has a story, Dan.
Okay, well, why don't you enlighten us about the movie that, which is no longer a movie?
Let's get to that. So the Temple, years ago, decades ago, if you went to the Temple, and this still is the case for 2 of the temples,
which a young 19-year-old Franklin,
decades ago, I guess so. But really decades ago, like a century ago. If you'd gone a century ago, you would have been regaled by a beautiful show staged by actors.
Staged by old men who were definitely not actors, but who were engaged. They were temple workers, and they were engaged to portray...
But there's a little play that's put on for you.
The birth of the earth.
And then at some point, and I'm not sure exactly when this happened, but I do know that it used to be on 16mm film.
Okay.
So that does say that maybe in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, I think so.
They filmed a version of this with sets and actors in costume and,
they got very fancy about
so forth and special effects. There are special effects in it.
Yeah, sure.
And then you told me this today, and I had not heard this, and it blew my mind. They've gone to essentially a film strip now.
They've gone backwards in time.
It's still frames
to still photos. With voiceover underneath it, which is basically I want to go in there now and sit there, and then before they change the frames, just have a little device that makes a boom sound. Our younger listeners will not remember film strips in that we lived through in the 80s and whatever.
Both at school and at church. We had a lot of them at church for different things.
You push play on the tape recorder, and then you every time it goes, boom, you have to advance the little thing,
the little frame. 35mm film.
It was before we knew
little tiny spool. Not much. There would be like 30 pictures, right? And you would just go advance to the next picture, and it would just help with the lesson.
We didn't know that moving pictures existed back then. Pictures couldn't move in the 80s.
This is entirely not true. However, it was cheap audiovisual type stuff. Anyway, do you remember the all-in-one units that had the tape cassette thing?
Ooh, yeah, if you
and
were fancy.
the projector all built in?
Oh,
I remember our school had one that actually auto-advanced.
It could hear the bing.
There was some little tone that it was picking up on.
Wow.
And it would advance to the next one. Oh, my goodness.
Just the height of technology.
Amazing.
Anyway.
But they're going back to it.
They've reverted back to that.
Absolutely blows my mind.
So
I don't know what they're up to.
And then they gave Eve some lines, which apparently was just yet another... Like, they caved entirely to the feminists. They first they excommunicated them, and then they caved to their demands.
I just need to go back to... Do you think they did film strip before they did film?
I don't know.
Do you think this is like retro temple? Like they're going like... No.
I don't know. Anyway, hey, listen, any of our listeners, the men folk, who are Masons, would be familiar with a lot of what the Mormon temple ceremony is like. Yeah. Because Joseph Smith...
A lot of it was just ripped off.
Just ripped it off. So there's a lot of... There's a lot of repetitive talk.
Yeah.
There's a lot of boring...
A lot of sort of call and response. Is kind of they say one thing
and you say something.
You have your
back.
little line that you have to kind of say back,
Right.
and stuff.
And then they do separate the genders, don't they? I think they still do that. The men on one side, the ladies on the other.
Yes, I don't think they've changed that at all. That would be very confusing if they let the genders sit together. I can't imagine. Although I honestly don't see why not.
Yeah.
But here's a little piece of news that just came out. I just saw it in the paper this morning.
Oh, wow.
I didn't pick it up as a story for the show because it just is such a single detail.
Uh-huh.
But it's really interesting, just along with sort of the reforms with women in the temple and everything. Well, the tradition when Mormons are when they are being buried after they die, right?
Yeah.
They're placed in the coffin, and the women, both men and women, they're dressed in their temple clothes, right, in their coffin. And the women would have their face veiled.
Right.
In
because
death,
that's
right?
part of the temple clothing.
Because it's part of the temple clothing. So they would have but you can also like have the veil back.
Right.
Right, in the temple. And then at a certain point you veil your face and
Right.
all that. But in the sort of right before they close the coffin, they would veil the face and then she's buried away like that. And now that's optional.
Oh. Wow.
Now up to,
Shocking.
I guess, the woman or the family or whatever as to like how they're going to bury mom, face covered or not. And this is actually seen as like, it's very symbolic.
Right.
It doesn't really mean that much.
No.
But because it's just a body being buried. But like, that's a big step.
Well,
to say that the woman gets to choose.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they don't like to say that. That's a phrase you don't hear an awful lot in Mormonism. The woman gets to choose. I mean, the woman gets to choose what's for dinner. But other than that,
But then she better not step out of line either. Like,
right.
None of that crazy Middle Eastern stuff in this house.
Damn it, woman, I told you I don't want stuffed red bell peppers anymore. Anyway.
Baba go what?
which, by the way, look for our new TV show coming up, Baba Go What. It's going to be on the FX network. Anyway, but we should talk about the temple clothing because that is you mentioned it. We talked about veils.
Oh yeah.
But man, it is fun because here's the dealio. Most people know about temple garments, which are the underwear that adult Mormons wear everywhere they go.
You also feel free to use the terms magic underwear when talking to your Mormon friends, or
they will be
Mormon underwear.
So offended that you even brought up the subject. But if you do use the very respectful temple garment, they'll feel like, oh,
it's
you're
more PC.
You're up on your lingo.
Yeah,
you're being respectful. Anyway, the temple garment is the underwear, the very long leg 2-piece underwear that's basically that cyclists wear less than that as their entire outfit. But the temple clothing is its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about what you wore when you went through the temple, Frank.
Okay, so the first thing that you do when you go into the temple, or one of the first things, in this whole process, before you're at any sort of ceremony or anything, you actually you walk into the temple in your suit and tie and your street clothes, right? But it's Sunday best.
Your church clothes, yeah.
It's Sunday best, but they are your street clothes. And you go in and you can come. A lot of people come with their own temple clothes.
You can be
or you
prepared
can
ahead
rent
of time.
them
Right.
at most temples, or at least a lot of the temples. I don't know how it works so much anymore, but at the time when I went through, at all the temples, you could go in and you would just rent your temple clothes.
Sure.
And so they give you a little packet, and they basically ask you what you're doing that day and what you need. And da-da-da. So you get your little packet, and then it's in a little pillowcase, basically.
Okay.
And you go, and then you get your new name.
Yes.
So the first time you go through, you get the name for you. Right?
Yes, you get a name.
And then every time you go after that, you're getting a name for whatever dead person you're doing the work for.
Oh, that's right. We need to talk about the fact that
this is all work for the dead.
The first time you go is for you, and then you're just
subsequent times you're doing it for and in behalf of
somebody else.
whomever else, right?
Right. But the first time you go, there's talk about washing and anointing, because the first thing you're going to put on is a poncho.
You get a poncho and you're naked underneath it, and you go and you sit in this little space, and this guy comes and he anoints your head and your chest and your inner thigh, I think.
With some oil. It rubs you down with oil.
That could be hot. However, it is not.
It is not sexy at all.
At all.
And women do it for women. So men do it for men, women do it for women. And that is the one priesthood ordinance that women are allowed to.
Yeah, and they actually there's a laying on of hands, if I remember correctly, and they give you a little blessing
on your head.
On your head.
Yeah.
And so a woman is actually doing that, and that is like when you first find that out as a Mormon, you're just like, what?
Yeah. Mind equals blown.
How is that possible?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's all. Okay, but anyway, so you have your little packet. And you go in, you sit down in, this room, the endowment room, and then as the endowment progresses, the story of Adam and Eve and everything progresses, and they're doing the little handshakes and everything. You start taking things out of.
We should point out that you're wearing all white.
You are in all white.
You're starting in
right. You go into a locker room, you change into all white.
Shirt, button-down white shirt, and
Thank
slacks that are white.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that detail.
And it's probably a white tie.
No. So you can just rent like a white jumper.
Oh, okay. But like a lot of people will have their own like white suit and tie.
Yeah, like that's people who
or ladies have a white
right.
dress.
Yeah. If you're just like showing up, there's different options: white button-down shirts with slacks.
Sure.
But they're not necessarily going to give you a tie. That's all add-ons and extras.
Right. That's if you want to. If you're a fancy type.
If you're there to impress.
Sure.
Right?
And who isn't?
So anyway, you're there, and you've got like a little green apron that you put on.
Yes.
The
only splash of color that you get.
Only bit of color.
And it's meant to indicate like the Adam and Eve's fig leaf.
Hiding their shame.
So it's like it's like a little half apron. It's not like a whole thing. It doesn't cover your torso. It just goes.
No, it's more like
the waist.
Yeah.
Covers your naughty bits.
Yeah. That's all you need. And then there's like this little shawl thing you put on. There's a baker's hat.
A very silly chef's hat.
Yeah. And it's got a little string coming off the hat that you have to tie onto the shoulder loop thing.
Yeah, it's so weird.
And then you have to like take it all off at one point and then switch shoulders. I can't remember which side you start on, which one you end up on. But you have to. But everybody's like standing up and like messing around with this stuff. You turn around, you use the chair to like put stuff on, and then you put it all back on the different way.
It's so
get everything straight again. Yeah. And that hat, it's like a floppy hat, but if I remember right, there's like a little disc in it to like give it a little bit of shape.
Oh, is there?
I think so, if I remember right.
Yeah, of course.
Because otherwise, how's it going to hold that beautiful, beautiful floppy,
that nice poofiness,
cylindrical?
What you want is a
shape,
good. You want is a good poof,
not cylindrical, just circular.
Yeah,
but yeah. I feel like I remember there being something in there to hold it.
You end up looking
I might be
like a mushroom.
Imagining that. I probably am.
Yeah.
I've projected my own desires and fixes for the whole uniform.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, well, they just need some help with the fashion.
Ugh.
It's just, that's the next thing, is that they're going to be hiring Queer Eye for the Mormons to come in and redecorate. Oh my God, we're going to redo this whole thing. I'm going to do this. First of all, we're going to take the terrestrial room. I like the animal theme that you've got going on. But let's see if we can maybe simplify.
I say bring the animals in the upholstery. That's how you bring the animals in.
Yes, indeed.
Get some good leopard print chairs.
And there really is a room that's like covered in a mural of like animals and.
I mean, honestly, it depends on what temple you're talking about, right? Like,
sure.
Because like we've gone. Have we done 2 temple tours together or just the one?
I think we've done 2.
I think we have, right? And both of those are kind of their newer concept. They're both Utah concepts, so they're big temples.
Yeah.
And they have like, it's a little bit more sort of like, they have like the terrestrial, like it's all painted up.
And we say that we've been through them because they'll let you tour them.
Oh, right.
in the month
as a visitor,
as a visitor, as a
before
non-Mormon,
it's dedicated,
before it's
officially opened for
after
for
that
business.
it is closed to anyone who doesn't have a recommend.
Anyway, but like the Provo Temple, Dan, that is literally, there is no fancy anything, right? Like it's a big giant, theater room basically with like curtains. It really looks like there's no painting on the wall. It's just super bare, stripped down. I mean, that temple is designed to pump people through it. There's escalators going up and down.
Oh, they need it.
And there's so many, and I don't even know how many endowment rooms there are in there, but it is down to a science. Like when you're waiting, like when you're grouping up before you go into the endowment room, you kind of meet up in the chapel, and then like all of a sudden there's sort of a signal, and it's clear that you're going off to this one particular room, but there's like temple workers kind of like guiding, they're like marking the path for you by just standing there.
It's like
right?
it's like going to visit Santa Land at Macy's.
Yeah, and you go up the escalator, go all the way up, and then they like guide you around. You go over to this door. You go in. It's like a movie theater. It's like a megaplex.
The
a
worst,
really weird, creepy megaplex.
Worst. It's the Mormonplex.
Yeah,
and that's the worst.
You can have quite the movie night in there, though. Back in the day, when it was a movie, when it was actually a projection,
they should have popcorn.
Yeah.
Anyway, then you go through, you do all the boring ceremonies. Some of them are not boring. They're fucking horrifying. They used to do a thing,
circle thing.
Yeah, they circle people up and do chants.
Pele ale.
Which they don't do anymore. Now they just say, heed the words of my mouth, or hear the words of my mouth.
Hear the words of my mouth.
And they do their hands in a pattern and stuff. You used to have to drag your thumb across your throat and across your belly and say, I will suffer my life to be taken if I ever reveal any of these secrets.
Yeah. That was the real shit. That changed like right before I went.
So you didn't promise to...
I did not.
You didn't promise
I don't
that
have to kill myself.
You'd rather be killed than say all the things that you're saying right now to this huge podcast audience.
No.
Yeah.
I'm good, Dan.
There you go. All right. Well, that's the temple. Mainly, there's a thing where you have to be pulled through the veil. That's pretty.
There's a little hammer. He knocks on the door for you. You walk up to so you approach the veil at the end of this whole thing. You're still in the theater.
This is a literal cloth that is hanging in a doorway.
So you're sitting there, and this multimedia presentation. There's been this guy standing at this like altar thing the whole time, and you'll see his hand like dip under every so often and like push a little button, and then the presentation advances. Right. And everything is like automated, and it's like you're at Disneyland, right? Like curtains go up and go down, and the lights come up and go down, because
I really want there to be
the handshaking takes time, and if it's a big group, they have to like give time for all that. So then you do all the handshaking, and then you go back, pushes the button, and it advances. Well, at the very end, when he pushes the button, curtains rise up the front of the room,
right? And
it reveals the veil.
Right? And
the men go on one side, of course, and the women go on the other side. And you walk up to one of the stalls, because there's a bunch of stalls, and the guy, the officiant or whatever, temple worker, takes this little hammer and goes tuck tuck tuck, and then somebody on the other side goes, "What is wanted?"
Ooh. Blah. Which, by the way, if you ever want to freak out a Mormon, if they go, "Hey Jim," and you just go, "What is wanted?" That'll freak them out.
Yeah, especially if you do it in sort of a "What is wanted?" and then the guy says, "Adam, having conversed with the Lord, comes to blah 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 blah," and then you have to recite back all the little catchphrases you learn and do the little handshakes with this person who's sticking their hands through cloth,
through a slits in the cloth. You can't see them. You don't know whose hand that is.
Right.
You don't know where it's been.
And at the very end, after you say all your stuff, they pull you through the veil.
Right.
And you're in a hallway.
Oh, goody.
And you have to
I finally made it to the hallway. Praise Jesus.
Like they say you go into the celestial room. No, you're in a hallway, and then you walk down the hallway, and then you go into the celestial room. And then you can just hang out for a minute.
Is the most beautiful room you've ever seen in your life.
The presence of God.
As long as you like sort of mid-level Marriott
Lobbies.
hotel lobby design. But boy, you
It's
talk to a
sad, but
Mormon,
true.
and this is the most amazing thing I've ever
Well,
seen.
that's because what you don't see, Dan, in the pictures and before the temple's dedicated is the Spirit of the Lord, Dan.
Yeah, I never was able to see the Spirit of the Lord.
You can feel the Spirit of the Lord.
You can feel it. It's true.
Oh, Dan, it's so beautiful.
Oh man, and if you didn't feel it, then you're broken, and that's your fault. Anyway, there you go.
So everybody's broken.
That's what everybody's broken. That's what the Mormons do. Mm-hmm. It's the most sacred thing,
And they just keep chasing that high. Just
Oh,
keep
yeah.
chasing it. It's never like that first time. You just keep chasing it.
chasing that dragon.
Yeah.
The Mormon dragon. Anyway, if you have any questions, or you'd like to tell us about what funky ass shit your crazy religion used to do, you can write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and smash that like button.
And while you're on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It's a closed group. We'll let you in. Also, we're on Twitter and Reddit. TGIA Atheist is our handle on both of those.
Hey, speaking of social media, thanks so much to Mackenzie for all of her hard work on the Facebook page. And sorry to hear about your grandpa, Mackenzie. And thanks to Amy and Danny for their hard work on the Members Only Lounge.
And a big thanks goes out to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music, and to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.